Regardless of when it's going to happen, it's inevitable that at some point in the near future, we'll be seeing a Justice League film adaptation. The Justice League is hot property. It brings together the most iconic DC characters to battle against all manner of Earth and universe-based threats, combining the unique skills of each member, from Batman's intellect to Superman's godlike powers, from the Flash's ability to run up behind someone and slap them on the back of the head, to the Green Lantern's ability to make some planes and then, throw those planes. People want to see this done. And not only that, they want to see it done right. At this point, it's unlikely that we'll get an origin movie for all members like it was in the Avengers. So if that's going to be the case, what would be the best way to make the Justice League a successful movie? We don't need to see a movie that takes the first 70 minutes to painstakingly introduce every character to each other. I don't need to see Batman meet Aquaman for the first time. They can sort out their secret best friend handshake off screen. Who cares? The first episode of Star Trek wasn't Kirk gathering up his crew in a pickup truck before making his way to the Enterprise. Probably. And Star Wars just starts in the middle of a space battle. It's just bam! Here's your villain, here's your princess, these are some robots. People can make the leap in their minds that things exist before they've seen them. When I see a tree that I've never seen before, I don't go, wow! Is that a fully formed tree that just appeared right now? I don't understand. What's its origin story? I can make the leap automatically in my head that just before now, that tree was a smaller tree. And before that, it was some kind of nut. Or tree egg. Full disclosure, I don't know much about trees. You can establish Superman as being the leader by having him guide discussion and call the shots in combat. You can establish Wonder Woman as a fierce Amazonian warrior by demonstrating her lust for battle. You can establish Green Lantern as the smartass by having him make fun of Batman for just being an insane person in a bat costume. No one needs to specifically point out Superman is the leader and Cyborg is the technology guy. Unnecessary. At a pinch, if they wanted to establish each character in a more subtle but obvious way, and I'm not a massive fan of this but it can work, is by having a new member of the team introduced at the beginning and have them be our window in. So they can ask the obvious questions like, hey, what's the deal with John? Is he sick? Does he know that his cape collar seriously restricts his peripheral vision? And why is his name John? He looks more like a glob. That's essentially Alan Page's character in Inception, or Will Smith in the first Men in Black, or Tommy Lee Jones in Men in Black 2, or Will Smith in Hancock, or Will Smith in Bad Boys 2, or Will Smith in Ali. Oh dear, I appear to have fallen into that common trap of just naming Will Smith films. Legend of Bagger Vance. There's a highly likely chance that we'll be seeing Darkseid as the first Justice League villain. But maybe it would be a good idea to go up against a different kind of villain or villains. Don't get me wrong, Darkseid is great. He's a real son of a bitch with many fine capabilities, such as matching Superman's strength as well as having an intellect beyond that of Batman. Unfortunately, however, we'll see a similar villain in Thanos in the Avengers 2, which of course will draw comparison. Unfair comparison, I might add. Thanos is actually inspired by Darkseid, but that's neither here nor there. So why not do something different? Have them go up against something we haven't seen before. For example, possibly the White Martians, disguised as a super team, as seen in Grant Morrison's JLA arc. Or the Crime Syndicate of America, most recently featured in the animated film Crisis on Two Earths. The Legion of Doom might also be a good fit, but there's probably a few too many characters to introduce the first time around. Plus, I'd have to include a 20-minute discussion about who let a gorilla on the team. Tone is everything. That's not true. Tone is some things. Let's just say tone is important. DC needs to be very careful when selecting a tone, as it will obviously carry on into different films, spin-offs, tie-in comics, and novelizations that only exist to be mocked. Green Lantern made this mistake with its inconsistent tone that I doubt will carry over into, quite frankly, anything. The Amazing Spider-Man is another major comic book movie that falls victim to this. It wanted to be dark and gritty and grounded like The Dark Knight with its somber tone and mechanical web shooters, but the inclusion of a 7-foot-tall CGI lizard monster flies in the face of that. Man of Steel, however, will no doubt be paving the way. It's looking as if we're going to see a more realistic take, relatively speaking of course, on this universe compared to that of Marvel. And if it works and they stick to it, this could very well turn out okay. The Batman scene in the Justice League is a very different kettle of bats to what we've seen previously on film. The Batman of the Justice League is on an entirely different level. He's gone toe-to-toe with Superman on multiple occasions, taken down an entire team of superpowered Martians, and destroyed Darkseid's physical form. Sure, he was slingshotted through time in the process, but hey, swings and roundabouts. The Justice League Batman makes the combined intellect of the Keaton through to Bale Batman look like a bag of hammers. So basically, don't sit him in front of a computer on a space station with a headset whilst everyone else does the heavy lifting. This is a man whose skills make him good enough to join a team among gods. He's the most dangerous person on the planet, and his character should reflect that. Maybe the best thing DC could do right now is just not make this film. Realistically, most people are turning up to see two things. Possibly three, depending on who you're talking to. Your Batman and your Superman. So why not just scrap the whole idea and go with a Batman-Superman film, as teased in the popular Will Smith film, I Am Legend. It's not like DC couldn't come back to the Justice League a few years after, but this way they'd probably at least make the same amount of money just by putting Batman and Superman in the title of a good film. Plus, there isn't a person on the planet who wouldn't want to see these two come together in a solid live-action film. If they wanted to, follow-up films could see them introduce new characters a step at a time, starting with maybe Wonder Woman and Flash or whoever, then going on from there. Nobody has really employed this strategy yet, but it could absolutely work. And if they started with Batman and Superman, DC wouldn't be drawing the comparison that they're aping the successful strategy Marvel have employed. We could even finally see some form of the Batman-Superman fisticuffs some fans have been clamoring to see for years. No, not 4 years, 4 years. Well, that was a terrible way to end this. So, that's about all of it. Obviously, everyone has different opinions about what would make a good Justice League film, so I ask you, person watching this, what would make a good Justice League film? Which characters would you introduce first? What villains would you use? And what general direction do you think DC should take? Leave a message via Severed Horsehead in my bed, or perhaps even post a comment or contact me through Twitter at Mr. Sunday Movies. Love to hear your thoughts. Thanks everyone. Take care.